was here. And I love to start with a song, which is also a prayer. And this is an especially beautiful song, again, it's by our Rickie Byars Beckwith. And the song is about how seasons change.
To write a song of truth, thought it would be simple. Many
So we just continue in this consciousness of the all good revealing itself right here and right now. I give thanks for this day, for this life, for this way of the life, for this opportunity to be here, to recognize, to know that each of us is a divine emanation of the only thing that is. That each of us is here fulfilling a divine and perfect purpose. Take this moment to give thanks for this moment, to bless this service and to bless the services that are unfolding everywhere in service and honor and devotion to God. We trust and know that all things are unfolding for good, and we give thanks for this opportunity. Simply allow it to be so by saying, and so it is. Amen. And Ashe. And thank you so much. This service really is dedicated to Mama Byars, our beloved mother of our beloved Rickie Byars. And I was just thinking about how this service has unfolded, that I think I shared the very first week that a friend texted me that perhaps the thing that you're seeking for is the very thing that you're being called to call forth in your life. Because I've been kind of looking, for a spiritual community that felt resonant for me, that felt right somehow for me. And she said, the time is now, or now is the time. And so I started the service, and it has continued. And this first week, that was the theme, that now is the time. And it was the first week of the new year, and we talked about what it means when people keep wishing us Happy New Year, what they're really talking about, what it is. What is happiness to them? Did it have anything to do with contentment and satisfaction and fulfillment? Or was it some other kind of an idea? And what was it about the newness? What is it? What about what's old? What about what's ancient in us? Is there anything in us that is not ready to be thrown out or disregarded or taken for granted? We talked about holiday hangovers and things that are hanging over from last year, disappointments or grief, things that didn't happen quite right that we tend to carry over into the next year. And we decided that since now was the time, that it was a time to be more loving. And we talked a little bit about Howard Thurman, who wrote, "Be more loving. I want to be more loving in my heart." And we talked about how it was always time to pray. And the second week, the theme that came was that it's not out there. There's nothing that I think that I want, my dreams, my hopes, my desires, they're really not out there. It's not about somebody being kind to me or hiring me or casting me or any of that. What it is that I'm looking for, somehow, some way, it's an inside job. It's right here where I am. And I shared the poem of Rumi when he says, I'm knocking on the door, and finally the door opens, and I find that I was knocking from the inside. Oh my goodness, what I thought I was looking for was right here where I am all the time. So this inside job, and I shared about how I had a dream, and I felt like I was wrestling with an angel, and it reminded me of that passage in the Bible about wrestling. And I thought, why would an angel be wrestling with me? I couldn't sleep. I was tossing and turning. I had all these kind of thoughts. And then I realized that the angel would come to wrestle with me in order to make me stronger. And we sing that song in the choir about making me stronger, to reveal more peace, more love, more joy. And it occurred to me also that I could call a meeting with God and my higher self or my lower self or whatever the parts are of myself, that I could do that. And then that I could kind of spread the meeting out throughout the day so that I could eavesdrop on what God was saying to me. And I found that the more that I intended for that to happen, the more it really did happen. And how I woke up one morning and I just decided, I just made an agreement with God. I just said, I'm not going to have any sugar today. I was like kind of in a bad shape with sugar. I was glad it wasn't alcohol or something else because, I really felt like I was supposed to have some chocolate after I ate. So I just said, I'm not going to have sugar. And, it was so easy because it was an agreement. It wasn't a have to. It wasn't a resolution. And so the next day, I don't know if I made the same agreement or I just decided I liked where I was. And that's where I have abided. Except my daughter's birthday was Thursday, and we were going to have cake, and it was okay for me to have cake for her birthday. But I didn't have to have a huge piece, and I didn't have to have a second piece, and I didn't have to have a piece the day after it, because it lost the energy. I really liked that idea. And we talked about the aligning ourselves with the divine, and that the more you align with the source, the more access you have to what the source has. The more I spend time with the Spirit, the more like the Spirit I become. So all of this came out of our talk about how it's not out there, that it really is within me, all that I'm searching for, all that is that I'm desiring. And that it helps to think on these things that are kind and that are loving and that are pure, opposed to the things that we get caught up in talking about all the time. And last week we talked about how a rose is a rose, no matter if it's budding or blooming, no matter the state of it. And in fact, I saw a picture of a rose that was wilted, and then I realized I have a rose outside. We looked at this rose that was blooming and this rose that has bloomed and is in another process. And we talked about being able to see the beauty and the perfection of both. And I don't know how easy it is for you, but in the beginning, it was not that simple for me, but I am learning to see the beauty in this. And we realize, and we say all the time, that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, in the I am of the beholder, that what we're looking at, we're looking through and we're looking from this presence of God, which is everywhere. And some of it looks like up and it looks like down, but to God, it just simply is what it is. A rose is a rose. And there is a rose garden in Atlanta, a rose garden for peace. It's dedicated to Martin Luther King. And because it was the day before his birthday, we celebrated him as well. And the fact that really we all are dreamers. He had this magnificent dream, but aren't we all dreaming about what we want for ourselves and for our loved ones? And the opportunity is just to expand who we think of as our loved ones. How strong his faith was, that he said that if he knew that tomorrow the world was going to go to pieces, he would still plant his apple tree. I wonder if I would do that, if I knew tomorrow the world would be gone, if I would plant something that I wanted to grow. So a rose is a rose. Each one of us is a rose in God's garden. We're not designed to be a pack horse. We're not designed to carry burdens and leftover blues and all of our mistakes. The opportunity that we have is to release what we don't need anymore so that we can receive what we do desire, so that we can integrate that and then create the dream that we want from there. So this week, the idea that came was the answer's right here. It's not out there. Now is the time for it. A rose is a rose. We are who we are, unique emanations of that which is divine. I call it God. You could call it brother or father or mother or sister or light or love or spirit. Whatever your idea is of that principle that is greater than you are, that created you out of itself, that's what I'm talking about when I say that God is where I am, where God is, love is. This idea of the answer being right here, it's right where divine intelligence is. So I wrote this poem called The Answer's Right Here. And it goes, in the early morning's dawn and dew, don't be confused or dismayed. Let people of consciousness, and we are all people of consciousness, stand up and stand strong. Truth crushed to earth or temporarily squashed rises of its own accord and power to ignite the way home to the heart and the answer. The answer that we're searching for is right here, right inside this room where I was knocking on the door to get out. The fullness of God is. So our beloved Mama Byars had a real spiritual practice, and we know that she prayed because she prayed for so many of us. But there was two things that she read every day. One was the daily word, and one was this thing called you. This thing called you was like a Bible to Mama Byars. And I saw the copy of it in her room the other day, this thing called you. And so I wanted to share a passage from this thing called you because it's apropos to knowing where the answer is and what it is. So this is taken from page 101. It says, if you are living in an intelligence that instantly knows the answer to any problem, then you are living in an intelligence which has no problem. You are, therefore, bringing your problem to a principle which has no problem, just as the principles of electricity, mathematics, or the law of gravitation have no problem. If you hold an object up that is heavier than the air and you let go of it, it falls to the earth. It would be a problem if you had to force that object to the earth once you let go of it, but that is not the case. There is no problem to the law of gravity because it works automatically. If you let go of the object, it falls automatically. And so it is with the use of other principles in nature, such as with divine guidance. Divine guidance, like the presence of God, is where you are, at the center of your being. When you turn to the Spirit for your solution of a problem, Spirit answers by intuitively knowing not the problem, but the answer, because Spirit doesn't have any problems. If you have a problem of confusion and you want to have peace, this could not be done by asking God to be peace, because God is already peace. Your answer would come as you turn from the confusion to the contemplation of peace. Every problem contains its own answer. Keep your mind not on the repetition of the thought about the problem, but on receiving the definite answer. Work with your consciousness until it ceases to function on the level of the problem and begins to function on the level of the answer. The problem is dissolved as the principle flows through the problem to the answer. As your consciousness lifts itself above the problem into the spiritual atmosphere of affirmation, the problem disappears and the answer takes its place. The problem is dissolved in the atmosphere of the answer. God only knows the answer. God only knows everything is unfolding for good. To us in this human realm, things look like up and down and good and bad, so we can kind of keep track of where we are. But God doesn't see any of that. God sees the wholeness and the perfection of everything. That's what God sees in you and in me. So we know what is happening. I mean, we think we know, we see and we hear, so we say, this is what. But there's a gap between the what and the why. It's like we have so many why questions, don't we? Why do bad things happen to good people? Why do we lose the people that we love? Why? The gap in between the what and the why is where the presence of God is. And it doesn't matter what your why is. We got some heavy whys, I'm sure. But in the consciousness of knowing the truth about God and that you were created out of God, right in that space is where the wisdom and the intelligence is. And that space is in you, because that is what you are and who you are created who you are created from. So we can say our problem is that Mama left us. She left us. She loved us. All that we knew of Mama was love. We loved her. That was all that there was to know about. And now she's gone, and so it appears that there is a void or an empty space that nobody can fill. There will never be another Mama Byars. You know, I I met Rickie 30 years ago. And so I met Mama 30 years ago. And I had just lost my mother. I wasn't really feeling like I needed to have another mother. But there was no competition. There was no comparison. My mother was the most magnificent being in my life. And here comes another one. Okay. It was like I get to be one of Mama's children because she just accepted us all. You were her child even if you didn't know her. You know, just like I'm sure she thought we are all children of God. We are all in the same family. So everybody she knew, she loved. Even people that maybe other people would think were kind of hard to love. So there's this problem was that, like Rickie's song about seasons change, the season changed before we were ready. We knew Mama was 94. She'd been around the sun so many times, and she had so many near misses. Oh, my goodness. Heart attacks and strokes and paralysis and, you know, both of her parents passing when she was young. And, I mean, she had so many challenges. But who knew? All that you knew of Mama was love. And that's all that we... And so we're wondering, like, what happened? Where, you know... Couldn't she have stayed with us a little bit longer? Couldn't she have made another comeback? But again, we're looking at the problem instead of looking at that space of infinite possibilities for good. Mama is a divine idea in the mind of God. A divine idea that we all got to know her. And even people I've seen on Facebook who didn't know her, but they're hearing all these wonderful things about her, and they feel like they knew her, and they feel like she blessed them, and so she did. Sometimes we forget to look inside where the answer is. You know, there's this explanation that the gods hid our divinity within because they knew we would never look within to find it. We would never know that we were God beings. And when troubles come and trying times, you know, sometimes we forget what the real truth is. So I just wonder if you think about some place in your life that's presenting a problem to you right now, if there is a place that you can attune yourself with what you know to be the absolute truth. You can remember that God only loves you, that you are part of God's family, and that everything that you need, want, desire, require really is already given. This is really the truth. I know it's the truth, and yet sometimes I still forget. Sometimes I'm still wondering why about something. Instead of saying this is the what, and the only what is God. God is the only thing that's happening anywhere. People can use the opportunity to try to do other things and make other kind of changes in it, but God still understands what the problem is, that there is no problem, and that all we have to do is turn within or click our heels 3 times and get still and quiet and hear what it is that God has to say. Because God is always speaking to us one way or another, through people or through opportunities, through experiences. God is, and we are expressions of God. So in the lyrics to this song, Rickie says, people grow and people go. She's told me that before. She says, we don't come here to stay. We come here to grow and then go. So people grow and people go. The truth is very simple. Some will seek and some will hide, but surely all will find. Love will show you how to cry, and love will take you to the sky, and universal good will guide you through. There's the promise. The universal good, that which has no opposition, guides us, carries us, lifts us, inspires us, encourages us, ennobles us, because it is who we are. And we're never stuck. Somebody took a collection of Mama's sayings at the last Soul Sisters retreat, and one of the ones that she said was, the answer is within, just listen to it. You would come to Mama with a problem, she'd say the answer is within. Just listen to it. She was a very wise woman. She continues, her wisdom continues where she is and where we are. And we're never stuck, and we're never alone with what looks like the problem. Always where we are, divine intelligence and support is. Always there's the opportunity to pay more attention to the answer than to the problem. So the answer is right here where the I am of I am is. It's right where you are. Can you feel that? Can you get a sense of that? Do you know that that's so? Can you apply it to anything that feels like a challenge right now? Yes. So this idea of Mama left us. I think about Mary McLeod Bethune, who was an educator and a civil rights worker. And what she said as she was getting ready to take her leave was, she says, I leave you love. Mama left us love. It's almost, I can see her like passing the baton. Okay, Monique, it's your turn. Take it and run with it. Take this wisdom, take this support, take my humor, take my compassion with you, and run with it. And we know we won't be running in vain, because she sang the song with listen. She told us, she said, I'll walk with you. One of the ways that Mama gets to continue to live, and you know, if it's not Mama, whoever it is that you love that you may have lost, is to think of the thing that you most remember, the quality that you most honor and value about that person, and let that quality have its way with you. That's how Mama's life continues. That's how our loved ones' lives continue. When we honor what they honor by allowing it to be demonstrated. So if it's the humor or the wisdom or the compassion or the generosity, the intelligence, the brilliance, that is, because you're resonating with that within her, that is what within you wants to come forth. So now is the time to allow that to express itself through and as your life. To take the baton and allow Mama's love and life to live through and as you. So I just like to stop here for a moment and invite you into a moment of prayer, as we know that Mama throughout her life was a praying woman. She believed in the power of prayer, and if we went to her with a problem, she would pray, or she would say, I've been praying for you. And so this same opportunity we have to stop and to recognize the power and presence that is God, that is everywhere expressing, that knows no otherness, that knows no problem, no challenge. It only knows itself. Goodness, compassion, peace, and harmony, prosperity and abundance and generosity of heart and mind. This is God. What we call God, that really doesn't care what we call it. We get to recognize this power and presence that created us out of itself and called us life. We give thanks for our oneness and our union with one another and with this holy presence. We give thanks for the power of this prayer to transform us, to lift us, to inspire, to heal us. We give thanks for the holy word as we see written in so many places, that we see shining out of the eyes of people that we meet, that we catch within our hearts, that no matter what is happening, God is still being God, and God is only good. Take this opportunity to bless everyone here with whatever challenges or problems we may have, to bless all those connected to us in any way, technically or emotionally or etherically. We bless all of life. We honor all of life. We bless all the animals. We bless all the plants. We bless all the children. the people that appear to have no country or no home or no food, the people that are experiencing a disorder, a dis-ease in their body temple, in their mind or in their spirit. We know the presence of God, which is healing everything, is revealing itself everywhere, and most particularly right here and right now. The answer to any problem, the solution, knows itself within the heart of each and every I am that we are. We bless Mama Byars on her way. We give thanks for all that she shared, for all that she gave, for all that she witnessed in us, the way that she believed in us. We give thanks for Mama Byars. We give thanks for anyone in our life who's been that place of way shower, of light worker, of lover, of divine mother. We give thanks that each of us is able and capable and ready and worthy and deserving, because each of us is a divine emanation of the only thing of good that is. For this and for so much more, we are eternally grateful and thankful. And we release this word knowing that it is true and that it revives and inspires us. We let it be so by simply saying, and so it is. Amen. And Ashe. Take the opportunity to invite those of you that would like to make a contribution or a donation to place it in the basket with your blessing. And if you are watching online, we invite you to give if you would like to go to revgreta.com or to revgreta@me.com through Venmo or PayPal. We bless the gift, we bless the giver, we bless the opportunity to give, we bless the opportunity to grow, and then to go into even greater awareness of who we really are. So again, I thank you so much for being here. I'd like to make the announcement that we're finishing right on time for those of you that want to go to Hot and Cool. Arne Batson will be there with the choir today, and everybody's invited to come and to sing, and there may be some sharing there about Mama Byars. And we will be continuing here in February every Sunday, except for the last Sunday in February, which is going to be Mama Byars Memorial at Hot and Cool. And we'll all be grateful for that opportunity to be with her. So does anybody have any announcement of any kind that you would like to make? I know Sonia Jackson's play is tonight at 6:30. I'm not exactly sure about the place, but if you Google Sonia Jackson Acts, you will find where she is. Her play about mama-isms. And last week we were sharing some old sayings that wise people have shared with us, and some of them are Mama Byars. So anybody doing anything you'd like just to share? Wonderful. So Jackie, would you please give us a benediction for today?
So simply knowing that we have received the most beautiful and high lofty words of God, of mine, and that they are poured into our hearts, knowing that this is the truth that has been spoken to us is one we can act on, one that we know and feel deeply in our souls, that we have been given guidance, we have been shown the light. We go forth this day, this very day, knowing that we are well prepared for whatever comes forward, knowing that we know this gap and we can fill it with the light and love of God, knowing that in this gap that there really is the answer to any so-called problem, to any so-called situation, knowing that we are the answer and that the knock that we are hearing is actually the knock from inside, that we are truly the answer. It is there. It carries us forth into this day and into each and every day. I simply bless each and every one of us as we go on our way, each and every person who is live streaming, knowing that it's all good, it's all God, and so it is.
And so it is.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Would you stop that for me? Just push